Welcome to the Art of Lifting podcast. Today I am joined by Melina. Did you want to just introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Melina. I'm a under 84 powerlifter, based in London. Compete sometimes. I don't know. Okay, I said I was okay with this, but actually I'm not doing a great job. But, yeah, I lift heavy things every once in a while, sometimes internationally, and that's that. Yeah.
That was a great intro. As you said that, I was like, wait, do you mean you're not comfortable being on the podcast? I'm so sorry. Then I realized you meant introducing yourself.
I'm just going to hang up now.
Yeah, that's fair. Shortest episode so far. No, that's fine. I'm pretty sure most people listening will know who you are. You're an 84 kilo powerlifter. You've represented GB as a junior and now as the open team as well. And obviously we'll dive into that in a bit more detail. I'm going to start off by asking you what I ask everyone, which is how did you find powerlifting?
Yeah. So found powerlifting in uni, but started, I guess, gym lifting in sixth form. So it was for health reasons, actually. So doctor was kind of like, you're almost pre-diabetic, essentially. You need to turn your life around, eat better, start, getting some movement in. For me, movement doesn't equal running. So I was like, hey, we've got a gym at school. Let's look at that. And then that's where kind of there was a strength and conditioning coach. I was like, actually, you're kind of strong. Kind of keep going with what you're doing. That encouraged me to kind of train over the holidays, which I never really used to do, like kind of school break. I don't know if it was the same with you, but like I was lazy as didn't do anything. You know what I mean? It's that time. Whereas that was the first year I think I really committed to actually like sticking with the gym over the holidays before I went to uni. And then found out there was a powerlifting club. Actually, my first year, I decided to join the rugby team and was part of that as well. But saw powerlifting was a thing, was kind of like, do I do it? Do I not? But was too scared to join. So only ended up joining in my second year. That's where I did my first competition kind of to qualify for Bucks in February 2020, I believe it was. And then did that comp, but then COVID. And then but came back to it with juniors, I think, and that was the one I think we were meant to compete against each other. And then, yeah, it just in Ashington, which is in the middle of nowhere, but it holds some special memories for me because I was based up north. So, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, because I think that was the year I had my car accident, which is crazy that it was that long ago. But yeah, we were both supposed to compete together. And I think we were on rankings, we were really close. And there was another girl that did Olympic lifting that I think was ranked kind of comfortably in first. She's not around anymore. I think so, yeah. And she was like a future star, but I don't think she actually enjoyed it that much. And then she didn't end up showing up. And I got a message from one of the girls that was like, I'm so sad you're not here. Like, I can't remember her name, but like she hasn't turned up. And I was like, don't tell me that, because then there was a potential of winning. And then I was like, I saw your total. I was like, no, Melina had this.
Oh, but no, that was, yeah, because I just remember getting a message from you and I was like, oh my God, like, oh my gosh. I was like, I hope you recover. Like, this is crazy. Like, what is going on?
Oh, that's so interesting. So were you into sports before you kind of had your health scare then, or not really?
That's the thing. I really was like, since like even before going to secondary school, like my parents kind of chucked us into everything, like athletics, swimming, just trying to keep us active. So I actually was like, I guess on paper, healthy running about, but I didn't have the greatest relationship with food. So that's kind of where I was mentioning, like over the holidays and stuff, my weight would go up and up and up and up. And then it would go down when I was back at school being active. And it was kind of like, but then it got to a point where I was basically like, was it out? You can't out train a bad diet sort of thing. That was the place I was in, and just, yeah, didn't have the healthiest body image at all. And it reached that point where I was like, actually, we need to find a balance with both. And I think lifting really helped with that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I relate on the school holiday thing as well. Like, especially when you have like the 6-week break. Like, I remember I literally just used to sleep, like, because I played football mostly, and we'd always have a little bit of a break during the summer. Maybe like every couple of weeks we'd have training, just like a little bit, but it wasn't anything serious because it wasn't like the season for us to play and stuff. And like, I would literally just sleep in until like 1 or 2. Then I'd just snap the whole time I was awake, and then I'd just go to bed at midnight and just repeat for like 6 weeks straight. And it was just such a bad habit to be in. Honestly, I'd love a 6-week break now, but
you literally, I was like, I'll do anything to get that back. But yeah, my step count generally probably didn't go over 1,000. I'm generally 1,000's lucky even.
No, I completely get that. So you said that was it when you went to, was it at that point you decided to look into rugby, or was it when you started uni you found a rugby team?
Oh, sorry, yeah. So I was playing sort of sevens in school, and that was kind of like in that point I was like, oh yeah, I think this is what I'm going to continue with at uni. And then it was just kind of looking when you sort of look at the different clubs that are available. I had kind of really committed to rugby, but saw powerlifting was a thing, and they were at the Freshers Fair and everything like that as well. So that's where the cogs started turning for powerlifting. But yeah, rugby was something that sort of was bred, like that passion was bred in school.
that's really interesting. I think rugby, like a lot of top level lifters, like the Americans, it's always like American football background, and I think a lot of the UK lifters is rugby. So I always find that really interesting. So was there a point in time where you were kind of doing both and you made the decision to go all in with powerlifting?
Yes, yeah, it was my it was actually my last year of uni. That was like I was kind of balancing both first year, second year as well. But because I guess I hadn't competed really, it was mostly me doing powerlifting training rather than competing. But I think that last year of uni was when that nationals, junior nationals was, and that's where I kind of was like to my rugby coach, I don't think I'm going to be able to play until I compete because I don't want to risk this. And he was so fine with that. I'll do some training, run about, but no contact matches. And then literally like my first match back, it wasn't full tears, but like basically both my hamstrings popped. And then I told my powerlifting coach at the time and he was like, yeah, you got to choose. And then I was like, powerlifting it is. Because yeah, as you said, like balancing both, just up and down versus all over the place just don't mix very well. So yeah, I'd love to. I think I'm going to try and slowly get back into rugby even this year. But again, I'll learn from my mistakes and not try and do too much of both at once.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. So I guess you kind of came into powerlifting at a good level already. Like you obviously had this base of strength, and like as a junior, you won your first junior nationals. Yeah, yes. And then yeah, so you made the international team literally within your first nationals, right? Like you competed, was it the year after? I'm trying to work this out from Open Powerlifting. So, yeah, it was October British Juniors, and then you did World Bench in May, and then World Full Power in the August of the following year. I remember that's when juniors used to be right at the end of the year. So you made the international team literally within your first year of doing a national level comp, right? So you came in at a good level, you had this good base of strength, which I mean, I guess that probably made the decision a little bit easier between which one to stick with. Like obviously rugby is something you grew up with, but obviously powerlifting, I guess you were like, well, actually, no, I can probably take this pretty far if I just continue.
Yes, and the interesting thing is, I don't know again, because you kind of did football, which is a team sport as well. I found I loved the team and everyone on the team, like we really got along, everything like that. It's when you're in a game, I find it more pressuring mentally playing with other people because I feel like if I mess up, I'm letting everyone down. Whereas with powerlifting, I think there's something about it's based on your resilience, perseverance. If you let yourself down, that's something different. So I think there was a certain level of enjoyment that went into my decision as well. Like I had a lot less pressure on myself, I would say, whilst I'm powerlifting compared to being on a rugby team. And like, I think when I go back to rugby, it's definitely going to be a thing of like, I'm not looking to be competitive for me. I think it's just the training and running about that I'm looking for, because I think I'll just fall back into that. I think it's just how I'm wired. Like, I just don't like the feeling of being the one to make a mistake and mess everything up.
Yeah, I completely relate to you on that. And I think I also relate in probably a slightly worse way as well, in that like I would get frustrated if someone on the team messed up as well. Whereas obviously in powerlifting, it is entirely in your control. Like, yes, like I know you've got a coach and like you've got other people around you, you've got handlers and everything on game day. But at the end of the day, you kind of make the final decisions about what to do every training session and at competition. So it is all on you to perform. Where you like obviously in team sports, you have the other aspect of if you mess up, but also if the other people mess up. Well, that's obviously not in this. And I was also going to ask you then, so you're obviously thinking about going back to rugby, which I really do get, because I've been thinking lately, like, I don't feel athletic anymore. As much as I do try and like, I'm very conscious of staying healthy within powerlifting. Like I want to feel athletic. I want to feel mobile. I try and do other stuff outside of just like, obviously just SBD and basic accessories to keep my body healthy and moving. But I said to my boyfriend recently, like, I miss just going and having a kickabout. I would feel really awkward doing it because I'm like a 26-year-old woman. Like, where are we going to go that we're going to just have a kickabout? But at the same time, it'd be nice to just run around a field for a little while and just have fun without actually going for a run.
This is the thing, and like it's gonna sound so bad. I literally go on the Stairmaster to feel something. Generally, I resonate with what you said so much. Like the Stairmaster is my level of cardio that I do. As you said, it's just like to feel like you still have a pep in your step, and like when you're going for the tube or running for the bus, you're not like breathing for your life at the end of it. And yeah, it's like you said, like that's why I think maybe the structure of like joining the team will probably help kind of foster that again. But yeah, no, absolutely. Like I think I just need to find that balance again, because I don't want to become so sedentary that like daily tasks become really hard, or I'm noticing that they're feeling more taxing and difficult. So yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people find, especially I know I didn't go to uni and stuff, and actually I worked as a personal trainer during the period because we're similar ages and stuff. During that period where we were both juniors, like I worked as a personal trainer for most of it. So I was like teaching exercise classes and stuff, and I had to join in with them, and I was constantly moving, and I felt really good in just my movement and stuff. But now, like with coaching and like with my other job, like it's desk job. Like I'm sat down all day, and I've spent a couple of years now just being sat down all day every day, and it's like I've lost that. And I think a lot of people, when they either leave uni or just kind of go into the working world, most people end up sitting down for most of their jobs. And I think that's when we kind of miss the stuff we did when we were younger, where we were moving our bodies more.
100%. Like you kind of have to plan your walks, whereas when I was in uni, like I worked in a gym in my last year and stuff, and that's constantly walking about putting plates back. You're messing about doing like press ups and pull ups and all sorts, whereas yeah, as you said, like I now have to be like, right, no, after the gym I have to go for this walk because I've not reached anywhere near 10k steps for today. Like whereas it used to just be ingrained in our daily routine, it wasn't something you even had to think about. You never had to check it really. So yeah, like I wish I could kind of go back to that time of life where, yeah, as you said, like I think that was the fittest I was genuinely. Like it was just great.
I'm gonna jump around a little bit just because it kind of fits in with obviously like not feeling as mobile and that sort of thing. I just kind of want to talk about the weight classes. So I haven't released the episode yet, but I had Zayana on recently, and obviously she's another 84. Like she's a fantastic lifter, and it was really interesting talking to her about the weight classes. And I think you and I have had small conversations about this before. So we're both in the 84s, and obviously there's nowhere for us to go unless we fully commit to weighing over 100 kilos and being competitive with obviously the 84 plus, which at the moment the standard in the 84 plus is even more ridiculous than the standard in the 84s. Like yes. It is wild. Like even just in GB, like the level you have to be at is crazy now. So I wanted to ask you how you find maintaining 84. Like, do you struggle with it, or is it something that you're just kind of in a good routine with now? Are you cutting into comps? Is it a big cut? Is it quite an easy cut for you?
Yeah, no, I guess this might be a ramble, but I guess I'll start from the first comp because it's kind of been a bit of a journey. But yeah, my first comp, I remember after I weighed in, the lady was like, you may as well have just gone for a run around the block and gone to the toilet, because I weighed 73, I'm pretty sure. So that was when 72s was still a thing. So she's like, you may as well
73.6.
Yeah. So she was like, that's basically a run around the block, go to the toilet, weigh in the 72s. That was like the only comp I think I've weighed in under 80. But yeah, I was so lean for the class, but it wasn't the person that was sort of like looking after our uni team at the time. He was just essentially encouraging people to just compete where you sit, which I think was really good advice. He wasn't encouraging, like, even though himself I think he was at a level where he was like thinking about his weight and stuff, but encouraging novices and everyone new, don't think about your weight, compete where you sit, just get a comp under your belt. And then lockdown happened. My body went up to like 93. Genuinely, I was in the 93s, and I had to cut back down after lockdown lifted, and that's where I think I was sitting around 80 when I was in uni. And it was easy enough to maintain that weight because, as like we were saying, always on the move, never really took a bus in uni. Everything was so walkable in Leeds, like really fit, really healthy at that time, playing rugby with lots of cardio as well. So easily maintained that 80 to 82 mark, I would say, for comps. And then when I started working after graduating, that's when I think it just literally naturally, it wasn't a purposeful bulk up, but like, I guess it just balanced out that I started weighing, so I seen 85, 86, and having to cut back down into the class. But I actually felt better for it in terms of leverages and like strength. I saw that benefit, and had a nutritionist at the time as well. And we were kind of like, actually, no, let's utilize weighing a little bit more than our class and then cut back down. So used to do a lot of gut cuts. So would weigh around maybe more that 83 mark, like especially juniors 23. That was when we, I think, started taking more advantage of like weighing over but cutting down. And then this year, I'd say I weigh about the same out of comp. Like I'll probably sit at about 86 in the first couple blocks when we're far out. And then just, I think I do a gradual cut now. And I tried to cut down to about 82, which sounds mad, but it kind of falls off easily. Like it's not stressful and I don't have to think too much about calories. So yeah, and we do that only because like, depending on when we're weighing in and stuff like that, we just like to get a meal in the morning. I think I compete better when I'm able to eat on a day. Like I'm not mad about how any competitions have gone, but like I think I just feel I get more of that performance boost when I am able to get nutrition in. So that's worked for us so far, hoping to do the same for Worlds. It's a slightly later weigh-in with it being in the afternoon, so I don't know. I don't think I want to cut much more than that. So we'll just maybe have to see what foods we can get in that can make sure we weigh in at the right time. But yeah, sorry, I was talking for ages there. But yeah, hopefully that gives a good idea.
That's fine. People are listening to hear you, not me. That's fine. So that does make a lot of sense. I mean, firstly, I would assume that the reason the drop's quite easy for you is because you are quite sedentary the rest of the time. So maybe when you're near comp, you're just a bit more conscious about moving a little bit more, I guess.
That makes sense, yeah.
And it makes sense as well that you like to get some kind of meal in before weigh-ins, because I'm assuming with your job you tend to train evenings, so you're used to eating more before you compete, right? And it sets you up nicely for Worlds, for example, this like upcoming Worlds, because like you say, evening weigh-in, isn't it? So you have full day, you're going to need to kind of be used to having, well, if you can have something before, because otherwise it's going to be a very miserable day waiting to weigh in.
Just sleep till like 3 o'clock and then get up.
It's annoying it's not more of a time change, because you could actually just make the most of just staying in bed all day, right?
100%. You can really utilize that.
Perfect. So I want to talk about how you found the transition from juniors to open. So you're in your, is it second or third year of the open now? Second, technically, I think. Second, yeah. So your last comp before the British in November, which was your first Open British, was the European Juniors in October of 2023. So you had 13 months between comps there. First, I wanted to ask you, I think were you injured in that time? I did briefly ask this earlier.
Yes,
I can't remember.
because I wasn't injured immediately after Euros, because I was actually down to do the Arnold's of 24, I think it was. And then it wasn't a massive injury compared to what we've had to rehab from before, but it was just a tweak where I was like, my back's going, it hurts, it's not worth the risk. And so we just took that decision to step back. And then honestly, just really made no plans to compete again. And it was just kind of like, and to be honest, I was at a point also where I wasn't enjoying training. It was like, it just felt like work. It doesn't usually feel like work. And when it started feeling like that, I was like, maybe we need to change something up. Talked to my coach. We went down to 3 days a week for a little bit as well, because I usually do 4. And like just taking a step back, 3 days a week, reducing the amount of mental pressure and like just not having a goal, just training to train. And honestly, like, came back even better than I thought it would happen, to be honest. And I think clearly at the time was, I think, what I needed, and my body was just screaming at me to slow down.
Do you think that time as well, like obviously you had no pressure of competing at that point, like you were transitioning into the Open, if anything, that's a really good time to take a little bit of a step back and a break. And I think a lot of people struggle with that transition because of the fact that you're going in, like you were very competitive as a junior, and obviously you were then coming up into the Open, and I think at that time it was Temi and Zayana that were like the top girls, obviously Air Love as well before she got injured. So you kind of were coming into this really competitive Open class from the juniors, and obviously as a junior, like you had Air Love there. I think she was probably your main competition as a junior. But yeah, you're coming into this competitive class, like giving yourself over a year to just find your love for the sport again. And I guess cutting your training days down made it feel less like a chore as well. And just kind of find the love for training rather than finding the love for progress, I guess, and chasing that progress. And yeah, it gave you a chance to find your feet as an open lifter, I would assume.
Yeah, I think so. And like even over that period, we changed, like going to flats instead of heels. Yeah, there were just loads of things we had time to tweak. And as you said, it just like taking the foot off the gas was just, yeah, it just meant you're not, as you said, you're not as goal focused. It's not like, oh, we're looking to do this at this comp. It's like, actually, let's just maximize our training, basically, which I think once you lock that in, and we found actually lots of good little like microcycles and like ways we run our programming that we do to this day that really work, especially for squats, I think, and just finding that balance of like fatiguing, getting the work done, but working smart, not hard sort of thing. And I've not really felt any tweaks or anything like that since, and we're still pushing quite hard, I would say. So like honestly, blessing in disguise.
Yeah, no, that's really good. So what does your training look like now? Like, are you still on 3 days, or have you gone up again, or is 3 working for you?
So when we sort of like, I think it was probably July of last year, we went back up to 4 days a week. Yeah, so like I do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Monday is not primary, I'm lying. It's secondary bench and squat and bench. Tuesday is tertiary bench and then secondary deadlifts. Thursday is just a tertiary bench with a couple of accessories, and then full SBD on the Saturday. And we've kind of just run with that. But what we changed massively that I think helped was 3-week blocks, which is always interesting watching your training, because I see like week 2 of 6 and I'm like, of 6? I'm like, my brain is like, wow, I don't think I can stay that motivated in a block for that long. But like, it's just so, I love seeing how different people train, because I'm like, it clearly shows that different things work for different people, and it's just like, I hear it, I like it, I like to see what people are doing. It's great.
Yeah, with that, like, so one thing, I tend to do 4 weeks now. Like for a while it was always 5, but I realized I was getting very attached to the length of my blocks, and if it was anything other than my traditional, originally it was 5, I would almost freak out. So I kind of challenged myself. I was like, right, you can do 6-week block here, you can do a 4-week block here. And I think because I had such a quick turnaround between Commonwealth last year and then British, it was a 6-week turnaround. I was like, well, I'm just gonna do 3-week blocks, 2 3-week blocks, see how they go. And actually, I think after my next couple of comps, I'm gonna go back to 3, because I really enjoyed it. And I think the mental thing of like, obviously the week 1, you need to just take quite easy, quite light, like let yourself recover, because it is only 3 weeks of like building that momentum. But the excitement of it already being week 3, it makes you want to turn up a little bit more.
Yeah, 100%. And like, week 2 is my favorite. Well, I do like a good week 3 when it pays off. Like it's like you said, like week 1 chilling, and then week 2 it's like, we're here, we need to lock in. Like you need a good week 2 to have a good week 3. So as you said, it like, and also I think especially leading into a comp, I think it keeps you locked in. I think as you said, like I think 4-week blocks for me, you'd get to my week 3 would always feel better than my week 4, and that's when we were kind of like, let's have a look at this. So yeah, it's really good for motivation, I think.
Yeah, no, that's so interesting. So I wanted to also ask you, you kind of hinted a second ago about the fact that you had a bigger injury before, like you took that break anyway. And before we actually started recording, I suddenly remembered your comp from 2022. I remember watching you on the live stream coming out, and you only squatted 100 that day. And we were kind of briefly talking about it. But your bench and your deadlift showed up as they kind of normally would. And I just wanted to ask you, like, is that the biggest injury you've dealt with? And obviously, if so, like, can you explain a little bit of what it was and how you guys dealt with it?
Yeah, so it's my back that always is if I ever have to like take a step back from training, like obviously there's other little niggles like an elbow pain here or there, but can kind of train through that. But yeah, my back is the one that's the main issue, and it's sort of happened in uni for the first time, like where it was actually its worst, and it was me being an idiot. So please learn from me if there's anything like so it was just me poor lifting form. I wasn't properly powerlifting then. This was in first year of uni where I was kind of like deadlifting conventional, back was cold in a not great way, didn't know how to brace, and I was doing really intense rugby training as well. And then one day we were just at the pitch and it just completely went, and I had to get like assisted back home, and like basically I could walk, but it was painful and like just was really awkward. And that's basically the same thing, that if my back goes, it's that flares up again. Not had a proper diagnosis. Physio reckons it might be like a fractured facet joint or something like that. I studied sports science, so I should really know this, but it's been a while. But yeah, they reckon it's to do with like the joints in my back, just it flares up every once in a while if I'm not doing something properly. So yeah, that's what happened with Euros 22. So luckily it never hurts to bench, and it's usually squat that aggravates it, which is why we kind of had to go 0 on squat. But then for some reason deadlifts and sumo were like, we only literally had about 4 weeks, I think, to even start deadlifting back again. But for some reason, it was like, oh, hey, we're still here. I think it helped because we were able to do belt squats without it hurting too much during the prep. We couldn't actually squat, but belt squat, like a gift is a gift, basically, when you're injured, I think, with a back pain, because it's just really, like, you can still work your legs. But yeah, and you probably know that you're a coach. I don't know why I'm like, yeah, it's great. Have you had a belt squat? It's amazing, guys. Everyone do it. But no, yeah, so that was a interesting time. And honestly, because I was actually like to Jason, I was fully prepared to drop out because I was like, I don't want to be selfish and take this away from someone. So like kind of with enough time ahead of comp, I was like to Jason, I've hurt myself, give the spot away. And he was like, there were no reserves. So honestly, we want you to come out, get a bench medal. If anything else happens, go for it. And then that's kind of, yeah, it ended up being an all right day and like was really fun. But I did get food poisoning in Poland. So that was never eat from a truck, guys, that you don't, yeah, like schnitzel might seem appetizing, but don't go for it.
That's so funny. So you came away with a bad back and food poisoning. So that's maybe not great. I would like that you mentioned the bench medal there, because obviously I want to speak to you about your bench press. You are most known for your bench press, even though looking at like you are a very well-rounded lifter. Like at least I think you are anyway. But your bench press, you've got the British record, I believe. Like, did you? Oh no, you didn't hit the European record, did you? I don't know what the European record is in the 84. It's Agatha.
I'm assuming Agatha. I was going to say Agatha has just comes and goes.
But I wanted to ask you about your bench press. So have you always just been a strong bencher? Like, do you like? Is there something about bench that you just? Is it a confidence thing? Were you just always stronger in your upper body?
It's an interesting thing. Like, I would say, I think it was in Joe Whiteley's interview as well, where she asked about it. And I was like, I think I kind of knew, because when I'm not amazing swimmer, but I used to do it quite a bit in training, and like kind of just in the pack with everyone else. Like, I wasn't a stand-up, but the one thing that I would stand out on is if they made us do the pool boy exercise where you're just using your arms. And I think that I didn't reflect on it too deeply at the time, but looking back I was like, I think there always kind of have been signs. And like, I remember my brother used to like make me do press ups and stuff that I could just like, this was when I was like in my teens, you know what I mean? Like, and like randomly just doing a pull up in school if you get there to do it. And like, and then it was kind of like, oh, not everyone can do this so easy. I was like, okay, maybe there is something here. But I was still quite late to benching. Like, I still like when I was going to the gym in sixth form, it was all lower body. Like I did do upper body like machine exercises and with dumbbells, but I hadn't actually been on a bench press because that seemed very scary at the time. So still only started really training it when I joined the powerlifting club, and it was like, oh, you need a bench to compete. So they were like, go for it. But I think it was kind of like a natural thing to pick up. But yeah, so from day dot, basically, I think it was there were those little signs that it might be something that is an advantage.
Yeah, I was like looking at your open powerlifting, your first comp, which was pre-COVID, as we kind of said, was 80 kilo bench, which for a first comp as a 19-year-old weighing 73.6 in the 84s, very respectable bench. And then your second ever comp, which granted it was over a year later because of COVID, but your second ever comp, you're already at that 100 mark. Like, that is crazy. But yeah, it makes sense. And I think it's always interesting when you reflect back on memories and stuff from what you were doing as a kid. Like, obviously you said rugby was kind of your main sport, so naturally you're going to be generally quite a strong build anyway. But like that specific thing with the swimming, like how you just noticed the upper body was stronger, like that's such an interesting thing to look back on.
Honestly, and like my legs just never, like the full kicking thing, if they made us just kick and hold the float, terrible, back of the pack. Like it just was what it was. Legs would just sink because they were too dense, probably.
That's so funny. So I feel like we're jumping around a lot, but that's fine. This is
I like it
for this podcast now. I wanted to ask you how you found your first Open Classic Championships. So British back in November. Like, how did you find it? I think going in on nominations, it was pretty clear. First, second were kind of pretty secure. Like, you were comfortable in second there. Obviously, Ziana comfortable in first there. But how did you feel going in? How did you find the meet? I'm assuming making weight was pretty comfortable from what we've said so far.
Yeah. So I will say, like, it was probably one of the first comps where, like, I always get nervous and still get nervous, but like, I don't know, I felt like we really had our ducks in a row in terms of, like, I would say, sorry to tangent off a little bit, but juniors, like that last year of like junior worlds and junior euros, the externals weren't great. I wasn't sleeping. Honestly, I think I was taking it a bit for granted that I was doing the competitions, and I wasn't taking care of myself either, like as in terms of like, yeah, making sure I was recovering right, eating properly. Like, it was a bit all over the place, whereas I think for this prep I really made sure that like those things were taken care of, control the controllable, and then that's what I felt I'd done, and then you can just leave the rest up to it is what will be basically. So yeah, like it was the first comp I think I felt quietly confident in that we'd done everything we needed to do to manifest what our goals were, because we kind of had some numbers in mind and like was able to hit that essentially. So yeah, I think it was amazing to like meet, like for example, meeting you and competing with you properly, like meeting Ziana properly for the first time as well. Like, it was nice to just see people again as well at a competition, because it was the first time being in that environment. I'd say I'm a bit of a mix of a yapper / headphone merchant at a comp, so like it's nice to get the balance of the two, like still say hi, how you doing, and then like lock in sort of thing. So yeah, it was really fun.
No, it was a really fun. I mean, I'm sure everyone in their own weight class feels this way, but I think especially like with the A4s, like we were supposed, I mean, we've met like briefly at the odd comp and stuff, but like we were supposed to compete together years ago. We've obviously been following each other's training for years. And like, there's quite a few girls in the 84s as well. Like, it was a massive group of us this year for the first time. Like, normally there's like 7 or 8 of us at most at British. Like, there was a huge group of like 20 of us this time. And it was just so much fun. Like, everyone was just like, and I think like we shared a warm-up rack, I think with Tash, and it was just like such a chill, like, we were just having fun. Like our handlers were all just hanging out, like they all knew each other. It was just like a really fun, chill, like it was just the most chilled I've ever felt for a comp. Even though the warm-up room was so chaotic, it was us and the 120 men, like it was cramped to hell, it was stuffy, there was so many people in that warm-up room and it just felt chaotic. But I feel like once I was like on our rack, I just sort of sat there and I was like, no, I'm calm, all is good.
Yeah, we had our little bubble, and then oh yeah, with the minutes, like, can I just scoot right here? Can I just grab my bag? It's like my Crocs, and then you're literally like, where is everything? It's just being blocked by like a 5 foot wide man.
So how did you feel about your performance? Obviously you put up a massive total PB. Was it 32 and a half or 32 kilo, 33 kilo total PB? Roughly? Something like that? Yeah.
My maths is terrible, so I'm going to say yes to what you said.
My maths is also bad, if you couldn't tell.
No, it felt really good because I think, like, I guess when you're flying away to compete and stuff, like, you're not always guaranteed to PB on the platform, but I did still feel that I hadn't, like, you know, put my best out there, you know, like we still did it, happy with everything, and I don't regret a thing. But I feel like I think it's one of, as I said, like one of the first comps where like we manifested what was there. Like, yeah, I'm losing my words now, but to answer your question, yes, happy, Melina, happy.
No, it was a great performance. Obviously you got the British bench record as well, and yeah, like you took it on your second. I didn't realize you took it on your second.
Yeah. So we always, well, hopefully, but like we were kind of like, let's just do it on the second and then take a smaller jump, because sometimes I get in my own head if it's like, especially on bench, a bigger jump to that record. So we're like, take the bigger jump first to second, where you're a bit calmer, and then you kind of basically know how it will feel 2 kilos heavier, basically. Probably, I don't know if it's the best tactic to do, but for me at least, it's what works.
No, I get that, and I was from someone competing this weekend, and I was talking about my squat attempts. And in training, I take like a 15 kilo jump, but in training, I just don't feel as much pressure. Whereas on comp day, like my first to second will be similar jump, but it's that mental thing of to your third. Like on comp day, it just feels like such a bigger deal, which obviously it is a big deal. It's towards your total, but if you can approach it the exact same as you would in training, but like especially for your bench there, like an 8 kilo jump from your first to second is a big jump, but because it's your second, it's almost like mentally, like it's just not as scary. Like something about it isn't quite as scary, even though if it was the same number either way, like just doing it on your third just feels that much more pressure.
100%. Like if it was, to be fair, I feel like if it was a 10 kilo jump, because I guess 8 isn't too far away from 10, I think I'd still deep it. Like, no, I can't do it. So yeah, that 8 was genuinely just perfect.
Okay, so from that comp, you also made the open team for the first time. Obviously, you competed internationally as a junior many times. How did it feel getting your invite for Euros and then Worlds?
Lord, I felt like I had to double check the email, because I can remember like we had to put it up to the light to make sure it was real, because I think like I wasn't even expecting anything really, to be fair, because I, like, for example, I don't know if Pape had like a whole Carpino sheet and had all the formulas and stuff worked out, and I was like, I couldn't be bothered to do anything like that, so I had no idea like what the standings were basically. And so like I was like, oh, maybe your Euros, if that, you know, if that works out. So to see both from like Matt and stuff, I was like, wow, like yes, I'll do it. And then the nerves kicked in. I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing it. Like we're actually having to prep. And because I had a 2-week holiday basically booked after Nat's kind of over that Christmas shows, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have 2 weeks of no training. I'm gonna have to like lift like a dumbbell on a cruise ship for 2 weeks and hope for the best and stuff. So it was quite stressful in that sense, but like no, it was so super exciting. I think there'll always be a little bit of imposter syndrome, I think, especially like I obviously know of a couple of people in the team and stuff, but it probably would have been my first time like properly meeting and interacting with people as well, so that played in the back of my mind too. But like ended up being super fun. Matt is an angel, Sue's an angel, and it was just, yeah, it was great.
And I think we have to also point out you are European champion as well. So it's something that Ziana and I were speaking about, because she actually gave you and Air Love both a shout out, because she was like, we were basically saying the 84s in GB don't get enough eyes and enough credit. Obviously she hit 600 for the first time as a classic female in GB British. She was like, we've had European champions like 3 or 4 years in a row now. Like obviously there was her, Air Love, and now yourself, like European champions. And the European 84s are strong. Like there's a lot of big names on those sheets every time, like on the entries every time. So
nothing was a guarantee. Absolutely. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was, we were going into that comp to really, you know what I mean? Like you couldn't make a mistake. Well, I did make a mistake, but you know what I mean? You go in and you're like, you can't make a mistake, sort of thing. Like you've got to have your wits about you.
How did that moment feel when you realized you'd won?
Oh gosh, like very, I don't think it's still fully sunk in. Honestly, I don't know what I always say this. I feel like I go a little bit numb, to be honest. Obviously, like I'm really, really happy, but like I don't know how I feel. Like I am obviously elated and overjoyed, but I feel like, is it bad that your mind kind of just instantly goes to the next one? And I feel like I need to stop and smell the roses a bit more. Like it's not like, oh, it's done, on to the next, but it's just kind of like, no, I need to sit in it and appreciate like what went into that, because nothing's ever guaranteed, like especially with such a touch and go sport, in terms of you never know if this is gonna be a session where actually you have to take a step back for a little bit. You just never know. So yeah, but no, overall, like super, super happy. And like, again, kind of, it's a different kettle of fish when you're kind of having to fly out, manage your food, do all of that. So it's nice when it pays off, because you have to sacrifice a lot, like nothing crazy, but you do have to sacrifice a lot to be able to, I think, put yourself in the best position to do what you want to do.
Yeah, no, of course. And how does it feel now? So as we're filming this, you're literally like 4 weeks out, less than 4 weeks out from Worlds. Are you competing? Is it the 14th you guys are competing?
Yeah, so no,
yeah. You're literally a month today. A month today. Yeah. This episode is also going to come out that Monday, so it'll be out the week of Worlds.
Week of Worlds.
Yeah.
High future.
How is training? How are you feeling? Obviously, like, obviously you'll always put pressure on yourself, but it's your first open World Championships. Like the 84s is a crazy class at Worlds. Like, just enjoy it, right? Obviously that's going to be the main thing, but how are you feeling going in?
Oh, first of all, Jessica Butner is going to be there. I think that's the only thing I'm just going to be there. Like, I think Matt's going to have to pull me away, because I'm just going to be like in awe, like what? But in terms of my actual training, you know what? I don't know how you found the short transition between, because 6 weeks is not a lot of time, but like I really feel like this is the first time we've been able to like come off the back of a comp and feel stronger off the back of it. Like usually, like I think there was a 6 week turnaround in 2023 or 2022, I can't remember, but like that felt horrendous. Whereas this actually, like we had 10 weeks, which is a bit longer granted, but like feeling really good, and like really hoping this block, like next week, hopefully hit some PBs in training, which doesn't come around often for me. So like really feeling good. Yeah, I think for me, it's just nailing squat depth and making it undeniable. Like we don't want to leave any room for error. And then, the Alico pad, wow, it's back. And I love it. I don't know how you, I feel like I asked you how you felt about it, but I've forgotten. But like, it adds about 5 kilos. It adds about 5 kilos without trying. I'm so excited, honestly.
Yeah, no, I completely agree about the Alico pad. It's just so comfortable. Like everything just feels solid. My position stays in place. Like I'm really big fan of it. And I'm really glad they're using it for this World. So obviously they didn't use it at Sheffield. And I remember a lot of women especially missed their benches at Sheffield, because a lot of like the more technical, like sinking benches, and like even Agatha, like they missed a lot of benches, and I think it's because they'd been training on the soft pad, which is very different to the other pad. So I'm very excited to see like across all the weight classes what sort of bench records and stuff get broken, because there's so many benches.
Oh, I want to see what she puts up. I'm here for it. Meg Scan is Agatha. I'm guessing Agatha's competing. I should know this, but
yeah, she is in the 69s again.
Oh, and Laura Matalan as well. Yeah. Load up that soft pad, and hopefully the floor is grippy as well, because again, we can't have slippy feet out here. Because do you know what I mean? Like, surely it just makes sense to have a competition environment that serves the athletes. Hoover the floor. Yeah, I don't care what you have to do. Just hoover the floor, and it's fine.
No, I completely agree. I actually wouldn't mind them not having carpet full bench. Like, I get it. And I don't know if they can bring out like a rubber mat or something instead.
I hear you.
Your feet aren't going to go anywhere. And then any talc from the days before deadlifts won't be interfering. Like you can just lay this thin rubber mat down. Your feet aren't going to go anywhere, and everyone's benches are going to feel fantastic.
100%. And if you're slipping on rubber, that's a shoe issue. It's not anyone else's problem. You know what I mean? I completely agree. Can we start?
No, of course. Also, just on the short turnaround thing, I'm now doing another short turnaround for my own comps. Obviously, don't want to talk about me too much. This is more about you. But I don't know if this is possibly what you're experiencing this time, but when I did a short turnaround last time, and the reason I wanted to again is because going into my first meet, I always have a lot of nerves and more self-doubt. And it's a little bit more like, especially if I've had quite a long time between comps, obviously, you know roughly where your top end is, but until you do it on the day, like you're not going to fully have that self-belief. Whereas once I've done the first meet, at least this is how it played out for British and Commonwealth. Like I did Commonwealth and I was like, oh no, like I've hit decent numbers, like I feel good. And then going back to training, it was a 6 week turnaround, but it was almost like that pressure was gone because people knew roughly where my total was. Like, even if at the second meet it went down, oh well, I've literally just competed. So firstly, there's the pressure gone of having to do like a PB performance, but also like mentally, I was like, well, I know where I am, I know what I'm capable of, so I might as well just kind of keep training and just see what happens, if that makes sense. Like, there's less mental pressure on the second one if they're close together.
No, I agree. I think, it helps you set a realistic goal ceiling. You know what I mean? No, I completely agree. It's like, okay, we know roughly what we can push and when. How is this feeling compared to last block? Yeah, it gives you a lot of direct comparables, which, no, that is, you've like debunked so much for me today. It's great. This feels like a coaching therapy session. Not that anything's going bad, is it? It's just like reinforcing the positive things that we're feeling. It's great. It's almost like you're a coach.
Well, maybe I'm good at what I do. That's so funny. I feel like this has been the smiliest podcast I've filmed too, to be fair. So I hope everyone listening is also smiling as we go. I also love that you mentioned, obviously, Jess Bittner's moved up to the 84s. Do you think you're going to have a fangirl moment? You've got her, you've got Amanda. Obviously, there's so many other, I'm not going to list everyone, but there's so many other names in the 84 group that I'm sure you, the same as me as an 84 lifter, like, I've just seen them all compete so many times. It's such a high level, and it's like, you're going to be in there. You're ranked fifth. Like, you're going to be in, I don't know if they're going to do like an A group for the, or like a prime time, or how they're going to do the 84s. Like, sometimes they just do like 2 fights back to back, but like, there's a lot of big names there.
Yeah, I think, and you know what, I'll give it all the talk now, but I can tell you on the day, I am going to clam up and I'm going to just not open my mouth for fear of saying something embarrassing, but like internally, oh my God, I'm going to be like, I watched you on YouTube with squatting like 4 plates, like it was nothing, with Russ in you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. But I hope I can like compose myself enough to just get out. I don't think I'll say, oh, I'm a fan. This is now me thinking about what can you say? That's like,
I hope some of them somehow listen to this podcast as well.
They're gonna be like, what a creep. Just me watching whilst
maybe your tactic can be just weird them all out before you, like, during the warm-ups, just go over and be a massive fangirl, weird them all out, then they'll be confused, and then you'll feel great and you'll just go in.
100%. I think that's the key. And it's like, oh, Melina won. Why? And no one sees the warm-up room, so everyone's just going to be really confused. But no, genuinely, I think I want to, if I can warm up with one of them, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll be like, oh, I should have rapped. That's good for me. Maybe I'll get Matt to wingman, you know what I mean? Get him to bridge the gap, especially because he's American. I feel like that helps.
Are you going to be out there for long? Like, are you going to be training before? Because I mean, there is a pretty good chance that you'll have to share the, like, obviously the training racks and stuff with not necessarily people in your class, but obviously names you recognise.
Yeah, unfortunately, because of like my work annual leave runs from June to June, unfortunately. So this is literally on the very end. So I have like no leave. So I'm flying out on the Thursday. I'll have Friday to settle in, compete Saturday, but I've got to fly back on Sunday, unfortunately, which means I also missed the banquet. But otherwise I would have loved to stay out a bit longer just to explore. Same with Malaga. I didn't get to spend too long out there either. But no, usually it is good fun staying for the banquet, getting to sightsee, go for walks along the beach, that sort of thing. But I'm not sure if Chemnitz is very beachy, but like around this time of year, weather's always good. The vibes are there, you know? So yeah, I'm really sad I couldn't make the most of it. Were you able to do that when you went to, was it Commonwealth in New Zealand?
It was South Africa, Sun City. But yeah, so we flew out. I think I competed the Thursday. We arrived the Monday, kind of midday. And then because my weight obviously flew up from the long haul flight anyway, and I was pretty close to the class, like I was going to have to do some kind of manipulation anyway. So the first few days, it was very much just sit by the pool, basically not eat, just like drinking, like full gut cut. And then as soon as I'd competed, like I literally just went, I think we left the Sunday evening. So I had 2.5, 3 days to just fully enjoy everything and experience it. And I don't wish we were there longer, just because obviously, you know, like the prices of the hotels and stuff at these events are so high. Like logistics, my boyfriend went as well. Like it was just very expensive for us. So if I could and money wasn't an object, I would have loved to stay for like a full week after to just really enjoy it and have a holiday. Obviously, I had this short turnaround for British as well. But yeah, I think even just being there, like with Worlds, obviously you don't really have the choice because of work, but being able to be there and just watch some of the other classes, like especially with how Worlds is now, like I'm sure you watch the streams and stuff every year. Like it's such a spectacle now, seeing all these other classes and everything. Do you think you're going to want to go and watch the day before you compete, or do you think that'll be too much for you?
So you know what, I quite like it. Like I went to for Euros, Bettina was competing and Temi the day before. So yeah, I went down to watch it, and because it wasn't, I had to leave before final deadlifts just for timings and to get back to the hotel and stuff. But no, I personally quite like familiarizing myself with the environment. I did, to be fair, have to meet Matt anyway to get my accreditation card. But no, I think I personally quite like it. I get not screaming too loudly and maybe not staying for too long, because I know for some people it can be quite draining. But like, no, I think it's nice to see where you're going to be competing. Literally, even like, where's the toilet? Where's weigh-in? I know where it is. I know exactly where I need to be. So yeah, I think on the Friday, honestly, I'm not even, my memory's terrible, so I don't know who's competing on the day before, but I think it's only like a 12-minute drive as well. So I think I'm going to get the shuttle down. Yeah, have a watch, cheer GB on, and just see other people lift. Because as you said, like every single weight class is going to have something go down, and like to be like front row for that, I'll be sat.
I would assume for you as well, it'll probably be the 76ers the day before, won't it? Who I think normally compete with like the 105s if they're doing it similar to last year. So that would be a fantastic one to go watch. I mean, they all will, to be fair, but
I think it'll be a case of someone probably telling me to go home because I'm there too late. Genuinely, like, I know some people probably don't like watching powerlifting, but like, I don't know, if you know the lifters and you're locked in, I really enjoy it. And it's seeing the changes. Like Matalan versus Clara was beautiful. I love that back and forth, and like, yeah, you can't beat it. You can't beat it.
I also think this is something I realised at Commonwealth, and it's probably not a good thing, but I went and watched the day before I lifted, just in the morning. Like, my boyfriend's not a powerlifting fan, so we kind of just treated it as a holiday until that point. But I was like, I need to just watch some, like you said, familiarise myself with where everything is, get a lay of the land, see how things are running. And as I was watching, there were a few people on the England team that weren't having the best days. And obviously I was sad for them that they weren't having good days. Like, you want everyone to do as well as possible. But as I was watching them, there was almost this reassurance in my mind, like, it doesn't matter if you have a bad day. Like, obviously you want everything to go right, but it was almost like that reminder that it's not, I mean, I don't want to say it's not common to have a great day, because obviously you would normally have good days if you're prepped properly and ticked all the boxes and stuff, but it's okay if you don't. And that little bit of extra reassurance that I then had going into my comp the next day, I was like, it doesn't matter, because if I do have a bad day, I'm probably the only one that remembers it in a year's time. Like, not even that, like a month's time.
Like, absolutely. And it's just the kind of thing, like, yeah, as you said, like, it doesn't matter if you make a mistake on the day. And also, like, it does not discredit the hard work you put in to get there anyway. Like, I think sometimes I think people maybe feel like they failed themselves or let themselves down, but it absolutely does not take away from the fact that you committed to this prep, you made it out here, healthy or not, you know what I mean? But you're still there to compete, and you do your best. I think the only time you probably can step away, maybe having a regret, is if you maybe feel like your head wasn't in it, or you're kind of like, you know what I mean? Which actually, to be fair, anyway, like sometimes your head's not in it just because you're just having a bad day. That's fine. Like, actually, yeah, there's no reason why you should ever kind of get down on yourself if you do make a mistake or something goes wrong, because yeah, you can still step away knowing you put in the work to get there, you earned your spot, and like you're there to have fun. Like, yeah, I know sometimes having fun at a comp can be quite a difficult thing, especially because of the seriousness of it all, but yeah, 100%, especially if you've got a good coach and handler. Like, it's nice to be able to just have that, like, they're probably your first port of call if things are going wrong, for them to reassure you as well. I don't know about you, but like, it's quite nice sometimes if you've got someone that knows you or knows how you work. Like, if something does go wrong, they are sometimes, you don't want to put it all on them and be like, make me feel better, please. But like, they naturally do half the time anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, it's what they're there for, isn't it? Like, a big part of being a good handler is the people skills and being able to just, like, it's not just running numbers, it's being there for the lifter and what they need. And let's say, like, if, like, I think a good example here is when you missed your third squat at Euros, which I think was on depth, wasn't it? Like,
yes, yeah.
you could have gone back and been really bogged down by that, and then the handler can be like, it's not a big deal. Like, you've still got good, like, contention to win. Let's just forget it happened, worry about it later, worry about dealing with it after, because at the end of the day, once it's done, it's done. You can't do anything about it. But obviously it depends on the person. Like, some people will come off and just, and I think that comes with practice, and just compartmentalize straight away and be like, it doesn't matter, it's done now, let's just move on. Like, anyone could have a bad day on any of the events. Like, just because maybe yours wasn't as good on squats, someone else that's maybe your main competition might miss 2 benches. Like, you don't know. And I think a good example of that was at Worlds last year with, I think it was Leah and Carola Gara. I think Leah missed like 2 squats, and then Carola missed 2 benches, and it almost leveled the playing field.
It balances it out, doesn't it? Yeah.
100%. So I've only got a couple more things I wanted to ask you. First thing was, if you have any goals for Worlds. I'm assuming one of them is just going to be have fun. and not fangirl too hard.
No, generally, don't be too weird. What was I think, you know what? It's so hard to PB on a platform. Someone who probably has done it easily is probably gonna be like, no, it's fine. But like, I just struggle to for some reason. I don't know if it's like the weight pattern or like, I just would like to have that day where actually like on an international platform, we like, even if it's 2.5 kilos, I think that's, I would say placings, like my eye is not on the podium because I feel like, at least in my head, it's pretty secure. So I don't think we're going to take any risks or moves that will potentially, like, you know what I mean, set us further back. So I think my goal is probably more like PBing what we feel is in the tank and setting that personal total, which I think hopefully I'd like to breach 560, which I feel like isn't too much on each lift. I think like maybe, I feel like I don't know, I don't like to think too far ahead in terms of total because I'm like, if I'm like 580, that's not happening right now. But if I said that, I'd be like, that's not realistic. So I think realistically, hopefully like a cheeky 560 plus would be amazing. But even if that doesn't happen, I don't mind. I think it would then just be a case of maybe not losing that rank at 5th. I think protecting that, because I'd say that still contributes to team points. So I think PBing, but also protecting the rank we have going in just to maximize like team points for the overall standings.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really nice outlook to have on it as well. And I like that you mentioned that about not always PBing on the platform. Like, obviously, it'd be lovely to always PB on the platform, but some people just don't. Like, and it depends what battles you're in as well. Like, you're in a pretty close battle to stay in the top 5, right? I think you're currently ranked 5th, and let's look. So ranked 6th with a 550.5 total, and then we've got 3rd currently with 571.5, which is obviously Jess. And I think that's quite an old total. But like ranked 4th, 5, and 6, you're all in the 550s currently. So it's going to be really close. And at that sort of meet, probably not likely to PB, well, at least not all 3 lifts is not very common, right? Like you're more likely to just maybe the odd 2.5 PB here, or like maybe chip your bench PB slightly to guarantee those points and stuff for the team. And I think at a world level, it's not that common to PB because of that. So yeah, and I think it's important to also point out to people that you don't have to PB every single meet either. Like it doesn't always work like that.
Not at all. And like, it doesn't make you any less of a lifter if you don't. No one, I think maybe people think people are judging them for that, but no one. I think as long as people see that you went out there and competed and you did your best, I'll always give you a double tap. You know what I mean?
And then the last thing I want to ask you about is your motivation for one, training, but also with competing. Like, are you a lift? You seem very like just focused on yourself and almost like just enjoying the process, which I think is the best way to be successful as a lifter anyway. Like just literally learning to find your love for the sport and just keeping that there. And if you ever go for a period where you're not feeling it, figure out why, do something about it, and just keep that enjoyment there. I think that's such an important thing. But are you someone that is more like internally motivated, or do you see other lifters in your category or just other lifters in general, see what they're doing and get fired up by that and be like, oh no, like I want to compete with them, like I want to keep ahead of them and stuff like that?
No, it's funny you say that. It was actually like, it's completely unrelated to powerlifting, but we were playing Monopoly Deal on the weekend. And then obviously I lost. I'm not great at it. I'm not a fan. But my friend was like, I was just like, I'm just not too competitive with this. She's like, you're not generally competitive at all, are you? And I was like, no, not really. Like, I think it does motivate me seeing other people doing better, but it's not in a case of like, oh, I have to lift what they're lifting, but more like, oh no, you can push the boundaries within your realm. So I think for me, I am very like inwardly focused and quite introspective with my lifting. Like I think, for example, looking at rankings for a competition like that, I think I am a bit motivated by like, no, it's really close. Like let's go out there and do something. But I would say I'm not always looking for silverware or like, you know what I mean? Like I think there's a balance of like, I'd say mostly me if it was like a little pie chart, mostly me. But then I think sometimes like the rankings, you know, just every little now and then, especially when it's close, it will motivate me. You know what, this is like one of the preps I've not stalked. If I'm not already following you, I've not stalked you. And I don't usually stalk anyway too hard anyway, but I feel like it really has been, I've not felt the need to. Like on the day I turn up with what I've got, I'm not hyper-focusing too much on what other people are doing. I know sometimes, like, I don't know how you are. Do you tend to, like, monitor other people's training? I don't know if I've outed myself there by being a previous stalker, but yeah.
So, like, I follow, I'm sure you're the same. I follow most of the 84s, especially on a GB level. But even, like, the girls from Commonwealth that I competed with, like, we all follow each other. And, like, I notice what they're lifting more than I probably do, like, people that aren't in my weight category, just because, obviously, it's a direct comparison. I try not compare too much. And I know like going into Commonwealth, for example, which I don't think I've really spoken about this publicly yet, like I was having some trash talk with Jodie on the Wales team. Like, she's another GB lifter, and we get on really well. Like, she's a good friend. Like, we've competed together a couple of times, and it's always fun competing together. And it was very much just friendly, like joking about who was going to win, and we weren't really close. She ended up not having the best day, and I ended up like managing to stay ahead. But I didn't expect that to happen. But had we not had like all the trash talk and stuff, I think I would have actually gone in a better mindset. And I didn't realize it until kind of after the comp was done, even though it was all jokey and friendly, because I think in my head I was then like, oh, but now I really have to win. And I'm not that competitive. Like, if I'm in a really close competition, I'm more likely to be like, oh, what's the point? I'll give up. Than I am. Like,
I'm like, you win it. I don't want to win because then I feel bad. You know what I mean? Yeah, no.
Thing. And to be fair, like Jodie and I both said to each other, you know, I'm happy either way, because I want to see you do well, but obviously I also want to do well for how hard we've both worked. But it made me kind of realize I don't think like actual like competition like that is good for me. Like, I don't thrive in it. Like, I need to just focus on myself. And I think actually I'm probably one of those lifters that would do better if I was one of those people that just muted everyone in my weight class going into a battle and not seeing it. But I also don't want to do that because they're all my friends and I want to see them do well. And it's like this really hard thing.
And someone's like, oh, did you see my 150 squat? And you're like, no. Why? Because I muted you. And then they're like, oh, what's going on now?
This is the thing. But no, I think I would say like I am more inwardly motivated, and actually doing this podcast has really taught me as well. Like, pretty much everyone I've asked, like, what's your motivation? Like, do you focus on other people? I think sometimes on the male side, they're a little bit more like, oh, well, you know, this person's broken through these barriers, so I can too. And like, they get really fired up by this close competition, this trash talk and everything. But pretty much everyone has said, I can't lift more than I can lift, so what's the point in comparing? And I think that's a really good way to look at it. Like, you can't, like, you might have had a terrible prep, you might have had a great prep, but at the end of the day, you can only lift what you can lift on the day. And if someone else just happens to be stronger than you, obviously game day attempts and stuff come into it and play comes into it. But at the end of the day, we're lifting weights. Like, you can literally only lift what you can lift. You can't force an extra 2.5 on each lift if it's not there. So there's no point comparing yourself. Or it's easier said than done, obviously.
No, 100% agree. Yeah, as you said, like your capabilities are basically predetermined essentially, and like it's, as you said, it's like you can make those small things to gain the 1% for your own performance. But like, if someone's deadlifting 10 kilos more than you and you need 10 kilos but don't have it, don't force it. No, there's no. I'd rather leave knowing I got all my lifts than trying for a lift and failing because I knew I wouldn't have had it anyway.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And I think that's quite a nice note to wrap up on. That was pretty much everything I wanted to cover. Obviously, I'm very excited to see you compete at Worlds. And just can't wait to see you do it. It's really like first year competing in the Open. Obviously, it's your second year technically in the Open, but first year competing. Really cool to see. Very excited to see how you get on. And I hope you enjoy it. Have you got anything else that you wanted to shout out or anything else coming up that you wanted to just go through?
Nothing. I'm going to shout out your comp this weekend actually. Sean has bribed me to give her white lights, so just if anyone's listening, and she's even wearing got white head, like she's manifesting it. So if I'm center ref and you see white lights, don't question it. It's
and if I bombed out when this episode comes out, we blame Melina.
I take the blame.
Are you with A7 now as well?
Yes, we are team A7. Rigor mortar sleeves are back, hot off the press. Are you do you wear riggers? Yeah. There we go. It's a
very good news to wake up to.
It's a good day for stiff sleeve users.
Do you have a code that people can use? I'm just going to plug this for you.
Oh, thank you. I wouldn't even have thought of this. It's code Melly, guys. Get your sticker. Get your bits and bobs. You know what I mean. Now that riggers are back, get a pair of riggers.
What was your sticker? I loved it when all your stickers got announced. But I can't remember what yours was.
I'll bring you one this Saturday. It's like a little it's a little post-it. I was about to say post-it. No, it's a stamp with like a little mice and a rabbit on a plate reading a book.
I'm going to put it on my belt and then I'm going to bench 130 kilos.
I've manifested it, and I'll give you a spot-o, so like it doesn't even get to your chest. It's just going to be placed whilst in the air, so these 2 centimeters, and then you're good.
And when I can't get it off of my chest anyway because it's just collapsed on me, just white light.
Just white lights, exactly. I've done that before. I gave someone a white light after they failed a lift, and I was like, this actually feels more rude. It was completely accident. I just pressed the wrong button, but I was like, really, really bad.
Oh, that's so funny. Thank you so much for joining me. What is your Instagram handle? I'm sure most people already know who you are and follow you, but just in case.
It's Melina_Irawo, code Melly407. And yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.